experience and share things about my wonderful son and her wonderful brother. And so before we start, we just want to acknowledge that there's an amazing group of people in this room that have had loss and experienced loss just like us, but those individuals chose to give life, so hugs to all of you. With that said, I want to introduce Ellie and I. I'm actually born and raised in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I no longer live here. I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, moved there after college at the University of Northern Iowa. Ellie is a high school senior who plans to pursue a nursing degree this next fall in Arizona, and ultimately wants to be a nurse, anesthetist. Close enough. I always get that wrong. With regards to, I want to tell you everything with regards to Drew and his accident, and then we're going to talk a little bit about him and a little bit about other things. Drew was a freshman at Iowa State University. Actually was pursuing originally a degree in engineering. He was definitely a STEM kid. 2 weeks before his accident last fall, he actually told me he wanted to change his major and pursue a degree in neuroscience, ironically. And ironically, he passed away from a head injury of a skateboarding accident one evening in Iowa State. And ironically, also that evening was last night, a year ago. Today was the day that I received the tough call from the hospital, noting that Drew had been in an accident. And we drove from Wisconsin to Des Moines, Mercy One, and got there about 9:30 in the morning. With that said, Drew fought 12 days in the ICU at Mercy One and passed away on November 17th of 2021 last year. He was actually meeting up with his friends in a parking garage. They got together in the evenings and met in a parking garage, and one of his friend's skateboards wasn't working correctly. And Drew was the STEM kid. He was kind of the kid that worked on all the skateboards. And he asked him to get on it, and Drew got on it without his helmet. And Drew was the ultimate rule follower in our family, beyond rule follower. And he made one choice not to do it. His friends told me he wasn't going fast, but unfortunately someone walked out between two cars and startled Drew, and he fell off. And so, with that, I want to give you the background. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Drew's sister, Ellie, and she's going to tell you a little bit about their relationship.
Hi everyone, I'm Ellie, and first I'm going to share an essay that I wrote this past year for school, and then I'll tell you a little bit about Drew. When I was trying to write this with my mom, we went through a lot of different versions, and then I read this in all of my pieces, and I decided this is what I wanted to read. It almost seems as if I'm like everyone else, that when it comes to individuality, minute differences are the only thing that differentiates me from the rest of the world. The slight red tinge of my hair when the sun hits it just right, the way my eyes are never just one color, and most importantly, the one person who changed my life in more ways than I could have ever imagined. I used to categorize time by minutes, hours, days, weeks, etc. But ever since November 17th, 2021, I have categorized time by memories with Drew and without Drew, before and after. It seems as if my entire life has been defined by the most important 5 seconds of another person's life. 5 seconds is all it takes for a life to end. 5 seconds was all it took to turn my world upside down, and 5 seconds changed my life forever. Sometimes it feels as if all people can see about me are the horrible things my family and I went through. I think of the events in my life and always pause to think whether he was here or not, whether I had been told the worst news of my life yet or not, whether I was happy or not, when I hadn't known that something so unimaginable would happen to me. I get my 1 year ago today memories on Snapchat and look at my face and realize how much I didn't know was to come, how he didn't even know how he had such limited time left. I look at my face, I see oblivion. I look at his, I see my happiness. I see my reason for smiling and laughing harder than I ever thought I could. Even though seeing those memories is heartbreaking, I cannot wrap my head around the fact that I'll be getting memories popping up on my Snapchat next year with him gone. All of the memories I'll be receiving this next year will be without Drew. I will see the happiness leave my eyes and my genuine smile fade. I would see me faking being okay, trying to be a support system for my family and I when I was completely breaking inside. Breaking so badly it felt as if someone's pulling our nerves apart. Why is it that you don't realize what you have until it's gone? In the back of my mind, I understood what a special connection we had. I understood that what we had was something that people didn't see very often. It is crazy how much something can change in just 5 seconds. My entire view on life changed, as well as something deep inside me. I'm not quite sure what changed, but I can feel it. I'm not the same person I was 1 year ago, and I never will be again. So, now let me brag a little bit about Drew, my older brother, as you can see on the screens. He was probably the most hilarious person I've ever met. He had the most inappropriate jokes. He was a teenage boy, but I thought they were absolutely hilarious. There were multiple times where my mom would have to yell at me to stop laughing at his jokes because she said it would only encourage it more, which it did. But then he told another joke, and more people laughed because they were funny, and you can't hold back a laughter from that. And I know she wishes she could hear that all again. He had the most amazing laugh, like just boomed through the room. And he would usually laugh at his jokes first, which sometimes they weren't even funny, but I would just laugh because of his infectious laughter. He was like undeniably a genius. He got a 35 on his ACT without preparing or doing anything to do better on the ACT. He just woke up, went and took the test, and got an almost perfect score of 35. And all of us, yet again, are like not surprised by that because he was so smart. I mean, at the age of 2, I wasn't there, but my mom would tell me the stories of him reciting books at 2 years old, and he would correct my mom when she read something wrong. And then I would always call him my personal Google because I'm pretty sure he knew every single fact there is to know, and now I'm filled with tons of random facts about such unimportant things. But I will never forget all the things he knew, and that if I ever needed help with anything, he was so gracious and knew how to help me and was so patient. He tutored so many people at my high school and helped them with classes. So one of my favorite things to do with him were movie nights. So every single night I would come home from practice or school, and it would start about 10 p.m. and we would have about 2 dinners and ice cream together and not go to bed until 3 a.m. Watch documentaries, TV shows, Disney movies, basically anything you could think of. And I would usually end up falling asleep and then wake up to him pushing me and kicking me to wake up. But any time with him was a good time, and I just love spending time with him. And I wish I could have one more movie night, but my last movie night with him was the day before his honor walk. Mercy One allowed me to lay down next to him in his hospital bed. I brought up one of our favorite Netflix shows, which was a comedy, and I cherished being close to him one last time. And that night I slept in his bed with him. I've never felt so important to someone in my entire life. He and his love was truly one of a kind, and unwavering, you are my person kind of love. He really was my person, and he will be for the rest of my life. Overall, no matter where I was, if Drew was there, it felt like home. He was home.
So you can tell they had a pretty amazing relationship. They're 3 years apart, and they never fought. Like, it's just a mother's dream. They were amazing together. So Drew, I call him Drewster. That's what I call him. I want to share just a couple things that he wrote. Drew, as a senior in high school, really came to love who he was. Drew actually was on the spectrum. He was diagnosed with autism probably around 12 years of age. He wrote, "Over the past few months, I've really come to love myself for all of my differences and embrace my true identity. It is finally nice to meet you all as my true authentic self." That's just a snippet of this very long post that he wrote. And the picture that he put on Instagram was him. Ellie just showed it to the people we were sitting with.
flexing his arm to make it look like he's probably more muscular than he was. But he loved music and he loved all genres of music, but he decided to get Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, so whoever likes Pink Floyd, with the triangle, with the rainbow, and the prism, all that. So he has that tattoo on his arm. Drew would not conform to others' thoughts and ideas. He stayed true to himself always. Drew passionately embraced diversity and was an advocate for the disabled. Below are a couple of quotes published by Drew on his personal Instagram page. I am proud to be who I am. Many of my favorite qualities about myself are a direct result of my neurology. Normality is overrated. The aggregate knowledge and worth of a society is much greater with higher diversity. He wrote that as a senior in high school. Never be afraid to be yourself. Eccentricity is often penalized, curiosity often systematically eradicated. Those who choose to ignore those societal norms and go where others haven't are the ones who truly enact change. So, we all have a choice based on where we're sitting today. I'm choosing the semicolon approach. Does everyone know semicolon? A lot of people get tattooed on themselves. It's basically the meaning of choosing not to stop my story and choosing to go on. This last spring, I was at my stepson's, who's a year younger than Drew, high school graduation. And the valedictorian gave the most amazing speech that I think will stick with me the rest of my life. He talked about how when we pass away, the things that, the thing that is put out there is our birthday, a dash, and the date that we pass away. And we all kind of focus on our birthday and our date of passing. But he said, what about the dash? The dash is your life. So, what about your guys' dash? We have 2 dates and a dash. All of us have been through a speed bump in our lives, disrupting the dash that we were creating, the dash that we were looking forward to continuing forward. Losing Drew, and I'm sure many of you feel this too, losing Drew was more like an earthquake, I think, for us. But how do we continue forward? Drew has inspired us to keep going, to do things and give back. We were able to go through direct donation, which I'm not sure if any of you had the experience of doing that, but 2 individuals that knew people within my network, I did not know them, but somehow they knew people, found out that Drew was an organ donor, and so now we have 2 men in our lives that have Drew's kidneys, and they're amazing individuals. We created a scholarship at Iowa State for the disabled. We were able to raise about $116,000 through the generosity of others to be able to give at least 2 scholarships annually in perpetuity in memory of Drew, which is really, really exciting. There were a couple trees planted in his honor. 20 plus people have tattoos now. A couple of them were his friends that actually took something that he drew, which is not something as a mother you'd want in your child, but they did it anyway. It wasn't inappropriate, it was just a really silly, like, almost like a stick drawing. And I've been allowed to speak at speaking events to share our story, which I'm appreciative of. So I want to leave all of you with a couple of inspirational, at least I think they're inspirational stories of things that have happened to us that we believe is true here with us. At his honor walk, Ellie mentioned his honor walk, Drew liked music, and he had the most amazing set of headphones when you listen to the music. The first time he had me wear it, he said, "Mom, what's your favorite song?" I couldn't come up with a song, but I finally picked one. And he said, "You're gonna cry when you hear it," and they are pretty incredible headphones. So we asked the doctors if we could pick one song and have it play and repeat and put it on him, so we knew that when he passed, that was the song. So we went through, he had maybe 3,000 songs on his playlist, and we chose Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles. And so the honor walk, once you do the honor walk, you go into the hallway for the OR. Many of you probably know this. Everyone from a medical team is behind you, and we had our chances to go say goodbye to Drew, and I went first, and I was holding the phone and the headphones. While I walked back to let Ellie and her father say goodbye, a song started playing, and it kind of startled me, and I shut it off right away. It wasn't Here Comes the Sun. And so then Ellie went up and said goodbye, Drew's dad went up and said goodbye. Ellie got back, I handed the phone, I'm like, "Can you fix this?" type thing. And I looked down, and the album that was playing was Pink Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. And one thing we haven't mentioned about my son, we did mention he has inappropriate jokes, but he was also the wittiest person I've ever met. He would come up with things, and I'm like, I don't know how you just came up with that. It was the song that was playing was the 8th song in the album called Brain Damage. And we started laughing. Like I told the medical people, and everyone started laughing. And my niece, who's sitting down the thing, she's like, said to her mom, who's right behind her, and said, "Is that Aunt Jeannie laughing?" And my sister's like, "No, I don't think she's laughing." Well, yes, we were. I went to the front of the bed and said, "Drew Patrick DiDonato, you never cease to amaze me. I know you're here with me today." And I believe he was. Not too long after that, a couple days, of course, my family's going through a whole bunch of different things, and my sister, Jennifer, who was with me during all of that, she was driving from her home here to my parents' home, which is probably 20-some minute drive. And Here Comes the Sun came on, and then it played again, and then it played again, and it played again, and she tried to get it to turn off, and she couldn't, and she said, "Fine, Drew, I get it, you want me to listen to Here Comes the Sun." So she literally listened to the song over and over all the way to my mom and dad's house. 27 is a number that's really important to us. She was born on the 27th, Drew was born on the 27th. We see a crazy number of 27s now in our life. Sometimes I'm sure it has nothing to do with Drew, maybe it never does, but anything in this world that can create it, that makes it feel like he's around us, I'll take. In closing, my ask of all of you is go out and find your inspiration. Make the days in your dash count. The dash is all we have, and the dash we can all use to move our experiences that we've experienced, losing our loved ones. Ultimately, we can choose to push forward and make them extremely, extremely proud of the dash that we create. Thanks to all of you.